Coming up next on The Voice of Alabama Politics, more mystery PACs revealed. Also, are the Democratic gubernatorial debates a joke? And the Attorney General's race on the Republican side is getting real nasty.
See if you can guess what I am now. I'm a zit. Get it? Let's go right here.
I've seen more civilized food fights. Can't we all just get along? All this and much, much more coming up next on The V. Welcome to The Voice of Alabama Politics, where we tackle the tough issues so you have the hard facts. I'm your host, Bill Britt, and as always, I'm joined by Susan Britt, research guru extraordinaire, and Josh Moon, the one and only.
My God.
Well, I just lost it. I totally lost it.
Well, that's how most people do with me, yes. I understand.
Josh Moon, columnist at APR and investigative reporter, and both of you celebrated birthdays this week.
Yes, we did. So. I am 29 yet again.
29 and holding. Mm-hmm.
I was told there would be no math.
There will be no math. But anyway, happy birthday to you both.
Thank you. Thank you. He's one day behind me.
I'm privileged to know you both, and that you both tolerate me. I think is incredibly patient of you both.
That is our best virtue.
We work on that daily.
Yes.
It's a team effort.
This Attorney General's race could not get more nasty. I mean, Catherine Robertson is attacking Jay Mitchell like he is, some kind of communist. He's attacking her like he's a junkyard dog. And, it's just embarrassing. And all the time, Pamela Casey's just standing there going, okay, I'm talking about what the voters want to hear. I mean, It is really amazing. These two are eating each other alive.
They are. It reminds me of the Bradley Byrne and James back in 2010, which let Bentley just, slide right up through the middle. But yeah, they're getting awful accusations of working with Hillary Clinton, accusations of working with Islam, going to strap illegal immigrants into a chair and send them to Mars or to the afterlife. I think that's a little... It's gotten really, really nasty, which we figured it would. They don't have any policies to talk about. Pamela Casey is the only one that's actually talking about the job, talking about what she can do. These two are just eating each other alive, which is fine with me.
Josh, they're spending millions of dollars to tear each other down in hopes of overcoming the fact that 59% of the voters, as of the latest poll, said they're undecided.
Yeah, what this state deserves is a general election with Pamela Casey and Jeff McLaughlin. Because these other two are not serious people. These are not serious people. When you're cutting a commercial, standing out on a street corner, apparently in Birmingham, and talking about strapping an illegal alien, which in itself is an offensive term, and they know that it's an offensive term, and that's the only reason he's using it. And that we're going to strap them into a chair and launch them into the afterlife, or to meet the Undertaker, is what he says, I believe. And and then also cuts a commercial that says, or an ad that says that what Alabama needs is a full Republican map that does not allow for any Democrats to achieve office, and that as Attorney General, he'll defend that. And I'm talking about Jay Mitchell. And I've seen some of Catherine Robertson stuff. Honestly, Catherine Robertson stuff comes on sometimes, somehow or another, during some of the things that my daughter watches, the little videos of kids opening stuff on YouTube, which all kids love. And somehow or another, it gets into that. And she talks about hating people, basically, transgender people, and how to mistreat them. And I just, it's so beneath every decent person what this is doing. And I can't imagine that there are people out there that respond to someone saying that they want to strap some human into a chair and launch them somewhere. Like, that's a serious position to take. This is the Attorney General for the state. This is the person that's going to prosecute crime. It's the person that's going to stand up against fraud. It's the person that's going to take care of child sex predators and other things. This is a serious position.
And APR asked Pamela Casey how she felt about this. She said, well, I'm not going to get involved in what they're doing. What I'm doing is talking to the people of Alabama about the issues that matter to them, and that is law and order. She said, this is what I've done for 20 years. This is what I'll do if I'm elected. But there you go. Now, Josh, we only got about 2 minutes here, but this last week's Democratic gubernatorial debate, if you could call it that, was one of the, I mean, it was just a waste of time. And I know some of our viewers like these candidates, but they were criticizing Doug Jones for not showing up. But that's like asking him to show up to a circus where all the clowns are going to attack him.
Yeah, honestly, I wrote, it was right for him to not go, because it's an embarrassment. And you get into those rooms where, they've got pickles laying on the table. You've got somebody talking about twerking Tuesdays, and it's just, look, I have a lot of respect for Will Boyd. I think Will Boyd is a serious candidate. I wish he had run for a different office and would take incremental steps to move up the ladder and become a serious candidate at some point. But what he's done is he's wound up in that room that, honest to God, looked like they were sitting somewhere where somebody's going to try to sell them a timeshare condo. Seriously, this, the whole production of the whole thing was so low rent, and so just, and then the way they acted, and the way, this is what has plagued the Democratic Party for the last decade and a half, is unserious people at the top of the ticket that the Republicans could hold up for ridicule and say, look at these crazy people over here. Yeah. This is who you're voting for. And that's, Doug is right to stay out of that room. He's right to stay out of that room and run on the ticket that he's run, this coalition of people at the top that's lifting everybody up on that ticket right now. Everybody up on that ticket, from the top to the bottom, is being lifted because he's put this thing together, and there are serious people running for office. He outraised most of these people in an hour. And I know money isn't everything, but it makes a hell of a difference that if people are going to put some money behind you, then they believe in you. And nobody's putting money behind any of these other people.
Unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it right there. But I would like to add that Alabama is going to face a serious choice in the governor's race. Tommy Tuberville versus Doug Jones. And you will have to make serious choices. So we need serious debates. I hope Tommy Tuberville will debate Doug Jones.
That would be nice.
Be interesting.
I'll be there.
Anyway, you're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. In the movie All the President's Men, there is a line spoken by the character Deep Throat to the Robert Redford character, who's the reporter. And he says, "Follow the money." And while that line was actually written by William Golden, the great screenwriter and author of The Princess Bride, that is the truest statement, Susan, that you can ever have if you want to know what's going on in politics.
Oh my God, yes.
Is follow the money. But Josh, we have been following some money that has twisted around like a gold, I mean, like some kind of cosmic Rubik's Cube or something. We can't figure out who all is in charge, but you've tracked, and we've tracked, and Susan's tracked, kind of where it's all going. We just don't know who's behind it.
Yeah, well, that's pretty true. So, yeah, we've got a set of incumbents who started receiving in their districts. Mailers started going out in their districts, and it was all folks who had picked up challengers who were backed by Alpha. Right. And so there were these mailers that made certain claims, and they were all paid for by a PAC named Alabama Values PAC. And nobody had ever really heard of Alabama Values PAC, and so tracked that down to a mailbox and a rented mailbox in a UPS store in Montgomery, and then eventually another person came out, a former state senator came out and took credit for being the leader of the thing or something. I don't think that anybody actually believed that, but and so then we started kind of following what this thing was, or who it was coming from, where the money was coming from, and we ended up with a Wyoming corporation, an LLC that was registered in Wyoming, that had received money from Farm PAC, which was Alpha's PAC, and then also Alabama Values PAC had given this company money, and that company had in turn done in-kind work for all of the people who were running against this set of incumbents. And then the money that was flowing into Alabama Values PAC came from a group in Virginia that was a separate company that we still don't really know who that was and what was going on. And so, yeah, clear as a bell.
I mean, Susan, they're supporting these alpha-backed candidates, but nobody can link all this together. Now, we're not saying they're doing anything illegal.
No, it's all legal. It's all legal from what we can see. Yeah.
No, but what it does is it tricks the voter. The voter doesn't know who is behind this, and that in itself just tells you it's legal corruption.
What it is Alpha trying to get plausible deniability that they're behind this.
We think
that's the case. It's when you've got with this company, what's it called? Audacious. Josh,
Audacious, something along those lines.
The only links from that Wyoming company is Alabama Values PAC, Farm PAC, and the money, the in-kind services going out to these Alabama candidates. That's the only Alabama connections we can find with this company at all. Makes you wonder. And
they're financing Terry Waters, Amy Minton, Danielle Duggar, Joseph Friedman, and Maurice McCaney. And these are all candidates that are running against incumbents who are some of the better lawmakers down in Montgomery.
Here's the key. They're running against incumbents that are for gaming.
Yeah.
Or let me correct that, allowing the people to vote on gaming.
Yeah, I don't think any of these people
that's the whole objective here.
Yeah, I don't think any of these people you would necessarily come out and say are like the pro gaming folks, except for maybe Greg Albritton. Greg Albritton is he represents the district where the Porch Creeks are, and so that's a very important industry for that his location. And so of course he's a pro gambling person that's put together a lot of gambling legislation because some of his biggest constituent base there has a real interest in that, as they should, because it's provided a lot of stuff for that community. But, I think the bigger thing and this is the reason why I think a lot of people should care, is because a lot of those mailers contained incorrect, inaccurate information about these people. I mean, some of it was just flat up made up. I mean, because they also created some websites as well that allege certain things about some of these folks. And if you just click the links, you'll see that the links in there don't go to what they're claiming in some of the claims. And it's just, and so here's the problem though, is you don't know who to blame for that. You can't, like in Greg Albritton's case, should you blame Terry Waters? Well, I mean, Terry Waters says he didn't know anything about it. He didn't know, he didn't do this. He didn't do this. Should you blame Alpha? Well, Alpha says the same thing. They didn't do this, and their name's not on any of this stuff. And so who's doing this, and who should be held responsible and accountable for these things?
Yeah, and the thing is, we checked. They're misleading, and in some cases, absolutely false claims. But once they're out there, it's like any kind of lie. It's hard to pull it back.
It's so bad that some of the bills that they cite and make outrageous claims against the candidate are not what the bills were actually about. They're about an entirely different subject, unrelated.
Some of the links to the bills that they claim in there go to bills in other states. They go to a breakdown of a bill in a different state, in Maryland and in Florida. And it's just, and so that's what I'm saying is they make these claims and it all looks, man, it looks legit. It looks very legit. They did X, Y, and Z. And here's the proof, man. Click this link and you can get a summary of the breakdown of this bill, and it'll show you how they did whatever. And it seems very legit. And how many people are going to go and do that? How many people are going to go and click that link and follow it through?
It took me 2.5 hours just to check some of the stuff. I mean, and no citizen's going to do that.
No, they don't have time.
Don't have the time.
And they know that.
Yeah. But what they're doing is this is the underhanded type of politics that has given politics a bad name. But the truth is, when you do not know who the messenger is, you can't trust the message, because if they won't put their face on it, if these candidates feel this way, say it.
Man.
Write your own commercial.
Right. Don't take the in-kind, whatever is the product of the in-kind service, don't take it.
Yeah, because all it does is show you how dirty politics is. And people are, I think, getting sick and tired of it. But
I know I
anyway,
am.
we're going to have to leave it right there. You're watching the voice of Alabama politics. We'll be right back.
Your property is your home, your investment, and your legacy. Across the country, scammers are filing fraudulent deeds, often without the owner knowing until it's too late. REACT is a free alert system. If a document is filed using your name or tied to your property, you'll be notified within 24 hours.
Property fraud is a crime, and the faster we know it, the faster we can act.
Sign up today. Protect your property, protect your legacy.
Alabama has a hands-free driving law, and that means you can't hold your mobile phone while making a call. Oh, and no writing messages, recording, or watching videos either. Plus, you can only use a single button or swipe of a finger to answer a call. So what's a driver to do? Alabama's hands-free driving law is in effect. Follow it.
Welcome back to the voice of Alabama politics. I hate to say it, but it's true. The Department of Justice under the Trump administration reeks of the most foul corruption I have ever seen. And it is a witch hunt to go after the Southern Poverty Law Center for tracking down hate groups and helping law enforcement capture evil men and women who are about to do evil things to America through their actions. they've worked hand in hand with the Department of Justice, Josh, over these years to get rid of extremist groups. And now they filed a lawsuit that is so flimsy, it baffles even seasoned U.S. attorneys.
Listen, this is part of the the aggrieved white man strategy of the Trump administration to try to attack everything that has been done over the course of the last 50 years or so to implement equality and basic civil rights for all minorities and groups and to even try to even the playing field wherever you can. And the Southern Poverty Law Center has been instrumental in doing so. They single-handedly basically took down the KKK. They've made took great knocks against the Aryan Nation and some other hate groups out there, and they've done this, and so now the allegation is that because they were paying informants, they were essentially supporting these racist groups and promoting extremism and stuff. Well, that's nonsense, and I think that's going to be borne out really quickly. And I think that what's ultimately going to happen here, matter of fact, I know what's going to happen here because I know some of the stories. I've talked to some of the people who are at the upper echelons of the Southern Poverty Law Center for its entirety, and I know what they've done. I know what they did. I know who they paid. I know all the stories. I know what was going on throughout this whole thing. And what you're going to find is another embarrassment for the Trump administration and the Department of Justice when all the cards hit the table on this thing. And I think that's what you're slowly seeing right now is they're laying this thing out piece by piece to show you just how stupid these people are. And the fact that even the serious people that have worked for the Department of Justice and the FBI are not talking to these morons that are currently running it. And I mean, when you have Kash Patel and Todd Blanche, who all they care about, they're playing for an audience of one person, and all they care about is sending up and getting a soundbite of some sorts right now. And what they are actually doing is promoting racist groups, helping them out, and undermining the very people who have made great strides in this country for equality and justice.
Yeah, let's don't forget who stormed the Capitol. Okay, the Proud Boys and all of those groups, all those hate groups, stormed the Capitol. That's something that the SPLC has been working against for decades. And now, so Trump goes, well, maybe I'll reward my boys.
Well, Susan, you don't live in the real world because that was just people on vacation, touring the facilities.
Yeah,
and now most of them work for ICE. Yeah,
right.
Now
And
most
they
of them
were
work
crashing
for ICE.
out the windows.
Yeah,
They were redecorating, right?
Little feces on the wall. And all.
Right, exactly.
It was a peaceful family demonstration, and this is what looks like a budding fascist nation looks like, because when you can indict anybody for everything.
Well, they've indicted Comey yet again.
Yeah, for
an Instagram post.
Yeah,
an Instagram post.
8647.
Yeah, it was at 8647. That comes from New York City.
There you go.
Where the speakeasy used to pay the cops not to raid them. But every so often the cops would have to, and it was on Borough Street.
Borough and 86.
And so when they were going to raid, they'd get a call from the cops, and the cops would say, 86, everyone. And that meant go out the back door on 86th Street.
So the police can come in the front door.
Yeah. So anyway,
from Borough. We've actually been in that.
He didn't mean kill the president. He meant get
out.
Get out.
Get out. Get out. That's all it means. It means get out, and here's which door to go out while the cops pretend to come in the front door and do a raid.
But anyway, that's just a mess. We've got about 2.5 minutes here. I want to get to this thing. We're in the middle of campaign season, and look, there's some good candidates on the Republican side. There's some good candidates on the Democratic side. But what I'm not hearing on the Republican side, and Susan, is what are they going to do for the people?
They have no plans. They have anymore, and you and I were talking about this last evening, anything that they do has to do with the next election. We used to have plans like NASA. We used to have plans, like FDR's great plan that built stuff all over the place. We used to have, as a nation, big plans. And now the only thing that is planned is what bill will help me get over the finish line for the next election in my race. Not looking at what's good for the state, just looking at what's good for my race. And that is a very dangerous and sad place for our state to be in right now.
And Josh, when you only run for the next election, you don't get good government.
No, you don't. And I think honestly, the Republicans right now are stuck with a pretty big problem. Is that they controlled everything at the national level, and in this state, we know that they've controlled everything for a decade and a half. And you look at the rankings that we have in this state for pretty much everything, starting with healthcare and just going on down the line. And we're at the bottom. We're at the bottom in all of it. So who are you going to blame? They can't blame, and that's really what the Republican platform has been for a long, long time now, has been we get out of power and then we blame the people in power for doing things, and we cast doubt on how they've been handling stuff. And we never really have a good plan on how to fix anything, but we are great at critiquing what they're doing wrong. And so that has been their plan to get themselves elected. And then once they get into office, they just screw it all up.
I talk to serious Republicans. I mean, what I would call real Republicans, that maybe they would call rhinos. I don't know. But we were talking about attacking Islam. And one of the guys was saying, well, I've never seen attacking Islam increase any reading scores. And another guy in the conversation, he said, no, or lift a family out of poverty, or establish a business that has a legacy for Alabama. They said none of that has benefited the state, and they don't have a plan to do it.
And they never kept a single family up at night. Yeah, they never kept a single person up at night worrying about Islam or anything else, or helped that infant mortality rate, or done anything good for this state at all. It's all just been hate. Who can we hate next? Well,
anyway, that is not the way government was supposed to run, but that's how it's running right now. You've been watching the voice of Alabama politics. You watch us because we watch them.